Rob O'Keefe is the president CEO of C Monterey, and he's going to do a brief self-introduction and then followed by Terrence Concannon, who is with Visit Santa Cruz. So, Rob.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, my name is Rob O'Keefe, President CEO of C Monterey. We recently changed our name. Among other things, we've gone through a lot of transformation over the last few years, and I think I have some board members in here who've heard me use the transformation word quite a bit. We went from MCCVB, which people got confused with MCVGA, with MCHA, and all the other acronyms, so we just decided we're going to call ourselves what we are, C Monterey. I've been with the organization since 2013, most of that time spent as Chief Marketing Officer, and in April of 2020, I drew the short straw and was made CEO for the organization. So I'm glad to be here and happy to share.
Thank you. Just like on Zoom, I always don't realize I'm muted. My name is Terrence Concannon. I'm the new guy in the room. I am the CEO and Executive Vice President for Visit Santa Cruz County. I began in late August, so again, I'm kind of a rookie at this. Not a rookie at destination management or destination marketing, but certainly in this community. Previously, I was the Chief Executive Officer for Go Lake Havasu in Lake Havasu City. And I'm here to tell you that the experience of living in Lake Havasu City and living on the central coast of California is dramatically different. The weather, of course, is a lot more welcoming. But I'm really excited to be here. This is one of my favorite places on the earth. I do have experience as a tourist with the Monterey Bay region and have loved it ever since I was in college. And have come up here, and as I've always told everyone, this is the first place that I failed at surfing. I tried it 2 more times at 2 different locations on the Pacific Coast and failed miserably, so I gave it up. But this was the start of that failure. But I'm back here to succeed as a destination management executive. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
We're happy to have you back. And hopefully it'll be very successful, and it sounds like it will be.
As long as I don't get on a board.
That said, for some of our friends in the audience, what is a DMO? Like, what does that mean?
And that's one thing about the hospitality and tourism business. We run on abbreviations, and so a DMO can be 2 things. It can be a destination marketing organization, which is what we are. We market Santa Cruz County as the world-class destination that it is to people all over the world, but it's also a destination management organization, and that's the way I like to look at it, and I think Rob does as well, where we work with our elected officials, we work with partners, we work with our stakeholders to ensure that our destination is the best place it can be for people to visit, but more importantly, the number 1 customer of any DMO should be the residents of the community in which they represent. So as a destination management organization, it's primary to us and incumbent upon us to make sure that the destination that we market to the world is also the best place for all of us to live in.
Yeah, I do agree, and I take that a step further for us. Years ago, this would have been heresy for me to say this. The most important part of the tourism economy is not the tourist. It is the community, and it's the residents that live within the community. And we, amongst the transformation that we've made over the past few years, our vision statement used to be to market Monterey County as the most fabulous place, yada, 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 in the universe. Now it's really simply about 2 things. It's about economic vitality and quality of life for the people in the communities here. And a DMO fundamentally is here to fuel that. We bring a lot of other people's money, which I'll talk a little bit more about, I think if we get to that question, to help build libraries or make them better, first responders, sports clubs, roads, parks. Our job is to get people to come here and invest in our communities so those who live here maybe pay a little bit less to do that.
Well, I know we've talked on and off a little bit about economic growth and labor and workforce pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. I'm curious to know, how has the hospitality and tourism sort of industry fared? Is it rebounded? What kind of impact is it making economically? Like, maybe if you could speak from that, Rob.
Yeah, so we're not back, right? I get that question a lot. we just got our economic report for 2023. A company called Dean Runyon does it for every county in the state. We came in at $2.96 billion. The year before that, we were at $2.95 billion. In 2019, we were at 3.2, over $3.2 billion. We're not back. Our workforce has made gains, 6% increase in 2023 over 2022, which is great, because that puts 2023 right back to 2018 levels. We're not back. We've got a long way to go, and we're a very competitive field here, destination marketing. Not Terrence and I, we're on the same team. But from a workforce standpoint, we're competing for people who work in the industry, and when COVID hit, we lost a lot of folks. And it ain't always easy from a cost standpoint, from an expense standpoint, to live in Monterey County or Santa Cruz. A lot of folks who were in the industry, when they didn't have a job or they didn't have enough hours for the job, they went home. And it's taken an awful lot of time to bring those folks back or get new folks involved in the industry. So we're, from a workforce standpoint, we're still hurting, but we're getting there, and we're making progress. It's not all doom and gloom.
Right, and one of the issues is in hospitality is customer service, and it's very difficult to get physical customer service when you're working remotely. So there are less opportunities in our industry to work remotely. And since the pandemic, people have seen the wisdom and have the desire to work from home now, so that they can, I believe, improve their personal quality of life. But it's very difficult in our industry. In Santa Cruz County, and I'm looking at the Dean Runyon numbers as Rob was citing, our employment is up 3.6% year over year, but only 2.2% since 2019. So we are on a positive trajectory. Over 14,200 people in our county are employed in tourism and hospitality, and that's certainly nothing to overlook. But the most positive thing that I've seen from the research is that our average annual earnings of all employees, and that's not just the tourism and hospitality industry, is up 20%. Now, just because our employment is up, does that mean that we're fully stocked? Absolutely not. It's that's because we do have new product in the market. I know that, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, you're getting something like 1,000 new hotel rooms coming online. We've got nearly 400 coming online. So we may be stable now and may feel confident about our workforce issues, but as we move forward, as we add more product, as we expand our tourism portfolio, these workforce issues are going to continue, mostly because, and largely because, of the cost of living in the Monterey Bay area.
Okay, Tara, can I just add one more thing? Our industry has been, it's been suggested that when you work in the hospitality industry, it's a fleeting job. You're just sort of passing through to go on to do something else. And nothing could be further from the truth. We have significant career paths in our field. I see Terry Owens, General Manager of the Embassy Suites, also on our board. Hi, Terry. Thanks for hosting. She could come up here and tell you stories about folks she's worked with for 10 or 20 years that worked here, raised families. I work with a lot of GMs, we both do, and they've got stories of folks who have, this is their career, this is their focus. People have worked in certain jobs for a long period of time. A lot of folks have worked their way up, and they're working in senior and executive level positions. Hospitality is very focused on that and provides a lot of career paths, and I just want to put that out there.
Speaking of that, just a little bit, what responsibility does hospitality and tourism have on maintaining or improving the quality of life of the residents? You kind of touched on it a little bit. And then speaking of career paths, are there programs and things that maybe we're not really aware of, maybe I may not, or other folks in this room, about how do you have that career path? Sometimes there is a disconnect about the understanding of what's really happening in your industry. So I'm sort of curious. It's a two-part sort of question.
So I'll take the protect the environment, and you take the career path?
Sounds good.
All right. So it's just good business to protect the product. The number one and number two reasons people come to Monterey County consistently every year: scenic beauty, number one, and outdoor adventure, number two. We've got to protect the product, but we're protecting the product for the folks who live here too. because we all benefit from that. And when you go down to Big Sur or you go Pebble Beach and you live here, you're a tourist, just like that. It's that easy. So we do a lot to focus on that, and one of the most important things for us to do is to let people know who are coming from outside the county what's expected of them. And what I mean by that is we have a very strong sustainability and responsible travel program, and it's up to us to educate people before they get here. What does that mean? How do I do that? We have a whole bunch of content on our website, and we tell people before they get here. Good example of that, we ran outdoor billboards in the Bay Area in LA last summer, and we're doing that again this year. And it's very simple. It's a very simple message. We have a picture of an otter, and the line says, "Adore responsibly." And that's just to get their attention. And then we remind them when they get here. We have ads and we have other contents, and we have geolocated where we find you while you're here. And we remind you to be responsible and treat our destination. We have very specific examples of that. We have do's and don'ts arranged by all the municipalities that we work with. And so we take a lot of pride in what we do because we take a lot of pride in our community. And it also helps bring people in on what we're doing. For those billboard campaigns, among the many people who saw that was someone from the National Marine Sanctuary of Monterey Bay. And they gave us a call and said, "I love what you're doing there. Tell me more." And we went and sat down with their board a few months after we did that, got a letter of commendation because they said, you know, we didn't see that before. Our focus and your focus, our missions align. We really appreciate that. These are folks that a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, they weren't always a fan of tourists because they felt like tourists, you know, they're going to touch the water. And they saw how we're doing what we're doing, and then that brought us closer together, and that's a benefit for our entire community.
I couldn't agree more with you, and I'm touch base on that. One of the things that I feel is incumbent upon destination management organizations, if you will, is, and one of the things we do is we get the word out about our destinations to our travelers, our visitors, but also to our residents. We utilize every channel that you can imagine, from broadcast television to print advertising to social media, to be able to tell people what's wonderful about our community. But at the same time, because it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the area that we live is the best possible area we can live in, we also have a responsibility to our residents. And to give you an example, recently I was reached out by the Santa Cruz County Office, OR3. I can only think of 2 of the R's, recovery and resiliency, about how do we work together when we have these natural disasters to find places to which we evacuate people, to find ways in which to get the word out, not just to our visitors. We'll do that, but also ways that we can educate our residents about how they can be safe and how they can engage themselves in the process of being safe. So I think that's really important. To get back to what I was supposed to speak about a career path, one thing that's very, very important is, and one thing that I often tell people that I'm the 3 E's. I'm an executive, I'm an educator, and I guess that's EEA, duh, and an advocate. So I advocate for tourism and I work in tourism, but I'm also an educator. I was formerly the lead instructor at Arizona State University at Lake Havasu City in their recreation and tourism department. The love for tourism for me, it wasn't education. I have a master's degree from The Ohio State University in photography. So naturally, I went into tourism because there is zero money to be made in photography. It was a labor of love for me. But what we need to do is instill within our college students, need to get them out of the mind space that I was in when I was young about that make as much money as you can. What's really important is doing what you love, and what I found I loved later in life rather than when I was younger was taking care of people, making sure that they are cared for, making sure that they know they are seen and that their experiences are the best experiences they're going to have. And that's where we need to instill that at a very early age. I just found it because I happened upon a hotel when I was engaged in another business, and I have never looked back because I've never felt anything more gratifying than everything from greeting someone at a front desk to being up here and talking to all of you. So it's simply a thing of education where we can get more young people involved in hospitality as long as we're honest about the upsides and the downsides. They may not make a fortune. They will not make a fortune. But at the end of the day, or at the end of their careers, they will look back upon their career as something that has made a difference.
Can I just say, you sound like you talk about the Ohio State with the admiration that I talk about the Kansas City Chiefs.
A
Wrong room,
little bit more on this
Elizabeth?
side.
I got to stop bringing that up? Okay, sorry, my bad.
So Terrence, thank you for saying that, because you were talking about, being an advocate and educating folks. I feel like I just learned something about us reframing an entire industry and sector about how do you care for others, this reception, this hospitality, and some of our cultures, and I'm just going to think about my culture for a second and highlight that, like hospitality and treating guests into your region, into your home, it's such a huge pillar of my belief system. And how do you get back to that? Because this is also a very strong economic driver. And then how do you marry and merge the two? And you two have kind of danced around the economic impact, but how is that also an economic driver in our region? Like, what are the big numbers? What do people need to know in this space? Because sometimes we only see the headlines, but we don't have an opportunity really to dive a little bit deeper about the people, the lives, the region that it's touching. And I just also want to make a note that San Benito County is setting up a DMO as we speak, so that's why the third chair is empty. But they are in the process of setting up a destination management organization. So if you want to comment on that, like how do we reframe that? I think it's a great way that you just reframed about, it's about caring, not only about being a steward of the region or the county and this, in Monterey, it's all about the scenic sort of attraction, but then there's so much more if you really want to make a life out of it.
No, absolutely. And, Rob mentioned some hellaciously large numbers about the visitor-facing economic impact at Monterey County. And it's smaller in Santa Cruz County, but it's just as important to us. But some of the things beyond the economic impact that tourism brings, some of the other things that I've noted, so I live near downtown Santa Cruz, and every day I walk to downtown Santa Cruz because in my previous location there were very little opportunities for walking. So I walk downtown, and nothing gives me more pleasure than to see somebody from outside this county marveling at what they see or what they're doing or the fun that they're having. Nothing gives me more gratifies me more than hearing somebody from outside this country and hearing the many languages you can hear down there. So there's more than just the economic impact that's important with tourism. The pride in our communities and the sense of place that we now have, and understanding that we live in a place that people dream of coming to, that people over in the UK and Canada and Mexico and throughout Europe, they know about Santa Cruz, and they know about Monterey. And they know that Monterey has fantastic restaurants. They know that Santa Cruz has amazing places for outdoor adventure, and they want to come here. It's because of the work that Rob's staff does and my staff does, but it really gives you a tremendous amount of pride knowing that other people dream of coming here. But it also diversifies our economy and allows for niche businesses that may not be able to function without a tourism economy in there. So what we have, because of tourism, is more restaurants, more better restaurants. We have more hotels. We have more attractions. We have more things to do for the residents because we are a tourism destination for so many people in this country and outside this country.
Yeah, and I'll further that. I'll say, whether you know it or not, what Terrence does, what I do, we are branding the destination. He's branding his, and we're branding ours. And how that works, that gets folks to think about us differently as a county. We're known for our innovation, and we have a couple of conference centers here. The TED conference started in Monterey County, for example. There's some other things that we use as sort of proof points. People come here to be inspired, and that inspiration drives innovation, and that innovation changes the world. We're putting that messaging out there. People think of us differently. Businesses want to think about coming here because they see that. We have conferences all the time, and many times I hear stories of folks saying, I came for a conference and I brought my business here. we're branding the destination, and it's based on that pride in community. People see the friendliness factor that we have. And then it is quality of life, back to quality of life, and how what I really like, and I think is underappreciated, is we have a couple Michelin-starred restaurants here, and we're in the Michelin Guide. Now, I'm not exactly a Michelin Guide diner. Our new office that's going to be opening next week. It's going to be built, or not built, but it's opening, and it's next to a Benihana. I'm Benihana. All right, I'm good with that. But that Michelin restaurant wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the combination of the folks who live here and the folks who come here to visit and spend those type of dollars. It happens in so many different ways. If we are doing our jobs right, we're attracting more than just travelers, but we're bringing in business and business opportunities, and that's really important for us.
So as we start thinking about wrapping up the panel, what can we do in the audience? What do we need to do to better be stewards of this marketing and the mission, and to drive more business, drive more folks here, and also educate ourselves and residents about why this is important? We often, I think of Car Week always, everyone's like, it's going to be Car Week, everybody stay at home, the locals, that is. How can we better educate ourselves and educate others? And if the leaders in this room, what do they need to know? What would you want them to walk away with and be ambassadors in that mission of yours?
Well, I think that's the right word, ambassadors, and I actually clocked this one time. So normally it takes me 6 minutes to get to the Safeway. During Car Week, it took me 14 once. 14 minutes to get to the Safeway. Just know that the people who are coming here, they're spending, Car Week should be closing in on a $100 million event for Monterey County. That's big money. And those folks are coming here to spend it. We want them to stay longer. We want them to do more. We want them to spend more. And the people who live in our communities benefit from that. So just that realization and spreading that is helping us help them, the communities that we work for. So it's sort of an attitude thing. The other thing for us, because conferences are so important to us, this property alone probably gets 15–20% group business. Group travelers spend 158% the amount a leisure traveler spends. That's very, very valuable for us, and we're very competitive in that space. So if you have an organization that you're a part of and you want to have a meeting like this, a conference, or maybe it's a business somewhere else, bringing it here, we'd love to hear that too.
I would say the best way that anybody in this room and outside this room can help us is by being the best person that you can be. Maintain, if you own a business, always make sure that it looks fantastic. Always make sure that you're innovating. Always make sure that your menu or the list of amenities or the list of things to do at your attraction are always new and being updated. Pay attention to the way your property, your city, your community, your county looks. We do have a problem here, and it's not just residents. It's obviously visitors. They contribute to the trash problem at a rate of about 2.5 times per residents do. But always make sure that when you're out and about, that if there's anything you can do to improve the look of your property, of the city, of the community, if there's anything you see that isn't easy, may not be visitor facing, bring that to the attention of your elected officials. Bring it to the attention of Rob and me. If there's something new in the community that you feel we should focus on, that maybe we haven't, please let us know about it, because there are so much in the Monterey Bay region that can be used as tourism drivers that you may not even think of, because the spectrum of human interest is so great that people are willing to come to Monterey for the dining, but they're also coming to Monterey and Santa Cruz for the outdoor adventure. They're coming to enjoy the ocean. There are so many things. So as a collective, if we make sure that our Monterey Bay region is as clean as it can be and as cared for and as loved as all of us do in this community, then we will rise to the top when it comes to promotion of tourism. And not just that, but also, as we've talked about on this stage throughout our 30 minutes, the quality of life will be the highest it could be, and that's what's the most important thing.
This is, I promise, the last question. And the last question is really about in your tenure, whether it's Santa Cruz or Monterey. I know you come from Vegas, you came from Lake Havasu, you've come from very different markets, right? What is that one thing you're really proud of? Maybe it's a program, maybe it's something you've already done, and then we'll conclude with that.
Well, I would say more than anything, I am proud of the greater connectivity we have with the community. It manifests in a lot of different ways, particularly crisis. And Terrence had talked earlier about how hospitality steps up every time there's a crisis. When the situation with Big Sur, for example, came up, and the storms that led to that, the hospitality was the first to raise their hand and create evacuee rates for people who were in trouble. We step up. You can't see her, she's way in the back, but Alyssa, she will go to, in times of high crisis, to the JIC, Joint Information Center. It's part of the Office of Emergency Services. It's in a building in Salinas. I couldn't tell you where it's at because I don't know, because she can't tell me, because it's got to be kept like below the wraps. But that's where hospitality and other industries all gather during times of crisis, and our hotels work together to make sure that we're here for the community when the community needs us most. And we've really built that. COVID changed people's minds by opening their minds. They opened their minds and they opened their hearts, and we are a vastly different industry, I think. Santa Cruz, Monterey County, the industry across the board is vastly different than it was before. And we got to keep, to use a Santa Cruz thing, riding that wave, because it's taking us in a really good direction. It was a horrible situation, obviously, but on the other hand, don't let a crisis go to waste. And I think the industry has used it to become closer with the community. And even the folks who don't always like tourists, they got to see what it's like without them. And it was an eye-opener. And I think there's been a mutual embrace between the industry and the folks that it serves.
I was afraid he was going to use the term keeping it weird, another Santa Cruz thing. So there's two small things, not small, there are two things that are very important to me and I'm very proud of. And again, I've only been here since August. But the first one is that Visit Santa Cruz County is a certified autism center. And any of you who have heard me speak about this can already hear my voice crack. It is so important to me and to my staff, and I think it's important to everybody in this room, that everybody that comes to our counties, comes to the Monterey Bay region, has the opportunity to experience and enjoy life and enjoy vacations in the same way that all of us who are, I hate to use the term, normally abled, can do so. And so my staff embrace this fully, and so we are now a certified autism center, and the next part I'll get to in just a bit. But what's even more gratifying is that City Manager Molly Legault in Scotts Valley has embraced this as well, and she has gotten, excuse me, she has gotten the blessing of her city council, and they have directed her to use staff and resources so that Scotts Valley can become, in our county, the first certified autism city, and one of the few ones in this state. So I am super proud of that, and it's something that's ongoing and moving forward. The one other thing is that God willing, and with pursuant to my board approval, but it looks like Visit Santa Cruz County will have its first and real, honest-to-God visitor center in the Bureau's history, and we should have it before the end of this year in downtown Santa Cruz. So I'm super excited about both of those things.
Excellent, congratulations. Well, on that note, we will conclude. I do want to thank Rob and Terrence both for being here.